Hi there! Today we have another Opel for review. This time is the bigger brother of the Astra models. It's the Opel Insignia from 2011. It has a 2-liter diesel engine with a manual gearbox and 130 horsepower. This is the exterior of the car, the Insignia model from 2011. As I said, it's got a 2-liter diesel engine with 130 horsepower and 300 Newton meters, coupled with a manual gearbox with a curb weight of around 1,600 kilograms, 1.6 tons. And considering all of these figures, the performance stats of the car obviously are not going to be awesome. It has a top speed limited to 205 kilometers per hour, and the 0 to 100 kilometers per hour sprint is gonna take more than 11 seconds. But again, that's not the highlight of the car. Even though it's quite a big car and actually quite heavy as well, the consumption is more than marvelous. After all, you buy a diesel for economy, so the figures of this car are actually amazing. It can deliver something around 8, maybe 9 liters per 100 kilometers inside the city. Rarely goes to around 10, and outside the city, being a diesel, is gonna be even more economical. You can see values around 5 liters per 100 kilometers if you're going on the highway. And on national roads, obeying the speed limit, you're gonna have figures at around 4 or maybe below 4. In terms of practicability, being a medium sedan, actually the booth is quite large. As you can see, we have our carry-on luggage, which seems quite small actually in this trunk. I presume that you can fit somewhere between 6 to 7 carry-on luggages like this one. You also have a small pocket on the left side and sort of a strap on the right side. But at least you get lots of storage under the floor. As you can see, this one has actually a full spare tire. The door card on the back side of the car, it's actually with an interesting design, with sort of a soft material up here. Actually not that soft, but it's alright, it's okay for this kind of car. Here on the armrest, it's actually more soft, a bit more soft. You also have a pocket on the door card and a speaker down there. And even though the opening is a bit strange, not that wide, the space inside is pretty adequate for this kind of car. You do have some pockets on the back seats, a couple of vents here for the rear passengers with some odd storage space, and a 12-volt outlet. And we have a back armrest with a couple of cup holders that are adjustable, and another storage space inside the armrest with some through loading and a light fixture. This is the space here in the back. As you can see, the seats are actually a bit low and quite short. but the space for your knees is more than enough with the front passenger seat in line with the B-pillar of the car. You have more than a palm of space for your knees, and actually you can stretch your legs quite a bit after under the front seat, and this way the sitting position is more comfortable. The other issue actually is the headroom. I can touch the headliner with my hair, and I have about 2 fingers from my head to the ceiling of the car, because it does have quite a sloping roofline. Even though it's a classic sedan, you can really feel the need for a bit more space, especially on the outside part of the ceiling, where you can actually bump your head to the ceiling if you're not careful enough. The space and the door card for the front passenger. As you can see, we have another piece of decor here. It's something of piano black plastic, but it's alright, you are not supposed to touch it, so maybe it won't scratch. But the materials are again a bit hard up here, a bit more softer down there where your elbow goes. You do have another space here inside the door card, and actually a couple of speakers. As for the seats, they are covered in leather on this model, and you only get height adjustment on the seat. As for the space, as you can see, it's more than enough. I have more than a palm from my knees to the dashboard. Even though we don't have soft material here on the dash card, it's actually quite an alright shape for me to rest my knee on the dashboard. And as for the glove compartment, it's covered. It does have another storage unit up here, and itself it's large enough. And finally, on the driver's side, obviously the door card is quite similar to the one from the passenger side. We only get a couple more commands here for the windows, and another controller for the outside mirrors. We have some controls for the headlights on the left side of the steering wheel, coupled with another storage space underneath. And the seat itself, it does have lots of adjustments. You can adjust the height of the seat, the front part, and you also have a lumbar support on 4 directions. Now let's have a seat inside the car. This is the view. The steering wheel, it's an alright shape. It's not overly large, it's not small, it's not too thick actually. It's alright for the most part. You do have some physical buttons. These one are for the cruise control of the car. Those are for the multimedia. And behind the steering wheel we have the usual stocks from Opel, with some analog gauges coupled with a small info display. And in the ceiling we have a regular mirror that can be dimmed with some light control. No sunglass holder, at least not here. You do have it over here. On the central console we have the display for the infotainment screen, with some controls for locking and unlocking the doors. Underneath there are lots of buttons, as they used to do on cars back in the day, and the climate unit with the same problem that we saw on the Opel Astra. The buttons are starting to peel. Underneath there's another space, another cubby space. Actually, I'm not. I managed to open it. More like a cigarette lighter and an ashtray over here. Behind that you have the control for the manual gearbox, the parking brake with a small cubby. The cup holders are on the right side, and again they're adjustable. And underneath the armrest you have another cubby with a USB port and a second 12-volt outlet. And now we start the driving part of the review with the Insignia. And the first thing that I'm gonna mention regarding the way the car actually drives and the way you interact with it, the controls, the pedals are a bit stiff. You do need some power, some muscle power to control the clutch and the brakes, but they do give you confidence. I mean, you can pull away quite easily, come quite smooth, and the brakes are not grabby. You can really modulate them. The gearbox, it's actually quite direct. It does require sort of a short movement to switch between the gears. And overall, combined with the steering feel, I can say that the car feels quite a bit sporty, actually. Even though it's a medium-sized sedan, you know, like a car that you can use for your family holidays, especially this one with the diesel engine. It's still quite fun to drive. Don't get me wrong, the steering feel is light enough for maneuvering inside the city, but after a certain speed it becomes a bit more stiff, and it gives you enough feedback to know where the wheels are pointing. The engine being a 2-liter with a modest output of 130 horsepower, it's not something to brag about, but it does have enough punch, especially in the low to medium RPM range. And as you can see, actually, this is the first time that we managed to catch a train. Yeah, I know. The way that the car shakes every car that I experienced over here. The way that those cars shake when I pass the rails. It's unbelievable that actually trains are still passing through here, but what can you do? Maybe I should pause the video for now, and we'll carry on after the train passes. We got sort of lucky because the train already has passed. If I knew, I wouldn't have stopped the video, but it's alright. Sorry for the noise, but God damn it. Okay, so as I was saying, the engine is not something to brag about, but considering the consumptions on a vehicle of this size and this weight, it's more than enough. You do hear it a bit inside the cabin, and actually that speaks for the insulation of the car, but you'll hear and see more of it once we get on the highway. What else? The suspension. The suspension is a bit firm, I would say. Keep in mind that we have 18-inch wheels on this model, and actually the tires are not that narrow, but still you do feel the bumps, especially if there are lots of them and one after the other. If you do get a big pothole, maybe you'll hear the suspension working, but it will not be so uncomfortable. But as you can see on our route, we do have lots and lots of bumps, and I'm trying to maneuver in such a way that I don't get all of them, but even still, you do feel most of them, even on video. Anyway, that's enough about the steering feel, the suspension. I think I'm gonna switch to the maintenance part of the car. Being a diesel powered engine, I presume that it's all right to do the oil change and the regular maintenance, actually, at around 10,000 kilometers. Maybe you can stretch the intervals a bit more like 12 or 13,000, but only if you drive outside the city and you do long drives to let the engine warm up and get to the optimum working temperature. Otherwise, do it sooner rather than later. Even before 10,000 kilometers, it's not going to be a problem. Other than that, there's just usual maintenance like you do on every car with an internal combustion engine, and sometimes you do need to pay some attention to the suspension or the brakes or the tires of the car, because as I said, it's sort of a heavy car considering its age, having a bit more than 1.6 tons, but the power is not there, so maybe you won't drive so aggressively. But even so, tires, brakes, the usual. Other than that, as I said, there's not much to do. It has a manual gearbox, so no maintenance there. That's pretty much it. Now switching to the problems that the owner encountered. I'm gonna name a few of them, as this particular model has been with the current owner from factory, and it has now something like 170,000 kilometers on the clock, and until now the owner has mainly encountered 5 problems. The first one was the intercooler hose. Actually, this one occurred twice until now. The second time was actually quite recent, and the cost of replacing the part and the labor was around 100 euros. The second problem encountered was with the oil pan O-ring. That's because of the particle filter, which gets quite hot actually when it's regenerating, and this O-ring being situated quite near the filter, it gets damaged actually pretty often. For a part that costs, I don't know, 10 to 12 euros, the total price that the owner paid was something again around 100 to 120 euros, because actually the labor is quite expensive. After that, I will mention the headlight. It had some problems with one of the headlights that was mainly caused by moisture, and again the cost of the repair was around 100 euros. And lastly, the thing that took the most amount of money to get right was the intake manifold. It had to be replaced, and the owner managed to do exactly that for around 300 euros. If you think about it, for a medium sedan, even though it's not a premium car, the maintenance costs and repairs are not that expensive. I mean, for a car that's going on 13 to 14 years old, and it has 170,000 kilometers on the odometer, I think that the amounts are fair. Anyway, let's get back to the driving feel of the car. We are now doing around 90, and this is pretty much the noise that you get inside the cabin. Maybe you can hear it. It's actually a lot of tire noise. You don't get any wind noise, which is quite alright for this type of vehicle. And you barely feel the engine, even though it's a diesel engine with only 4 cylinders. At this speed, you wouldn't know that it's there. I don't think that I could speed up, at least not on this segment. We'll turn around. We're gonna see the way that the car acts on the rough pavement, and going back to the city, I'm gonna test the car at a higher speed. this is gonna be the rough patch on the usual testing ground for my reviews. As usual, I'm gonna keep the speed until maybe between 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, so you can hear the noises that are coming inside the cabin. Some things rattle about. You can actually hear the suspension working. Again, it's a bit stiff, not uncomfortable, but I would prefer it to be a bit more comfortable. And as with any other vehicle on this stretch of road, you can really hear the tires. But other than that, it's alright. It's comfortable enough for a typical medium sedan. Maybe there's a difference after all between cars that are bought from new here in Romania and cars that maybe don't experience this sort of roads once in their lifetime. But I think this stretch of road really is the essence of what I was talking about in past reviews about the roads here in Romania. Some of them are alright, they're not perfect, but for the most part you'll encounter lots and lots of surfaces like this one. Hey, sorry again. At least we have a bit more, and then we'll get back on the highway. I would have liked to have sort of a twisty road, twisty bend, to really feel the steering of the car, but that's pretty much my testing ground, so it will have to do. Now, as we are returning to the city, I'm gonna illustrate a sprint from 50-60 kilometers per hour to the top speed allowed here in Romania on the motorway, on the highway. That is 130 kilometers per hour. This is it. And now let's hear the noise inside the car at 130. At this speed, I hope that the mic can hear the noise. It's mostly coming from the wind, from the outside mirrors, and of course the tires. We do have something like 245, 18 inches, so they're quite wide, sorry, and that's why they are generating a bit more noise than other tires. But again, other than that, the engine, while running at a constant speed, you can barely notice it. If you put it in 6 gear, it's gonna sit around 2000 RPMs, which is comfortable enough for a long drive. Now let's hear the noise inside the cabin at 110. This is it. Actually, it's not a whole lot different from 90. Obviously, if you use the sixth gear in this car at 90, maybe you'll get a bit less engine noise. But come on, the engine is not gonna be comfortable at such a low RPM. That's why I said there's not much difference between 90 and 110, because obviously at 110 you can keep the sixth gear and again barely feel the noise from the engine. Not a lot of wind noise at that speed. Mostly the noise that comes from the tires is gonna be present in the cabin. Other than that, it's not much else to be said. I enjoyed reviewing the car. Actually, the thing that I'm most impressed by is the trunk lid. The way you can close it with ease. And again, I'm surprised about the stiffness of the suspension. But other than that, I think it's an alright cruiser for a long distance. As usual, thank you for watching. Hope to hear from you in the comment section or on social media. And again, as usual, I hope to see you at my other reviews. See ya!